So tonight at the firehouse, I'm going to make fresh caught fish and shrimp tacos for the boys on duty. Now this is all the ingredients that you'll need for tonight's dinner, but as always, check the video description for a full shopping list. So let's start off by making the pico de gallo. I take tomatoes, lime, jalapeno, sweet onion, cilantro, and chop everything up into small little pieces like that. Combine everything into a giant mixing bowl. I then squeeze in the juice of 3 limes, add 1 whole can of kernel corn, 1 whole can of rinsed drained black beans, 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Give everything a really nice mix, cover it with a piece of tin foil, and set it on the bottom shelf of the refrigerator to marinate for 2 hours. Next, we start working on the coleslaw. So take 1 whole head of cabbage, shred it up finely, put it into a giant mixing bowl, add 3 tablespoons of dill pickle juice, 1 cup of mayonnaise, a half teaspoon of black pepper, a half teaspoon of salt, and give that a really good mix. Cover it up and set it on the bottom shelf next to the pico de gallo. After that, we're going to work on the crack sauce. Now the crack sauce is going to be a sauce that we're going to drizzle on top of the fish that is really delicious, and it's comprised of about 1.5 cups of mayonnaise, a nice heavy squirt of sriracha, roughly 2 tablespoons of honey, and a pinch of salt. Give that a really nice mix. Make sure you taste it, and if you need to make any adjustments, make your adjustments now. So we're roughly 1 hour out from eating, and I want to take an opportunity just to get everything ready to start battering up the fish. So in 1 small bowl, I'll incorporate roughly 2 cups of cornmeal. I'll add 2 tablespoons of Cajun seasoning, give that a nice little whisk, and set it to the side. Now the seafood that I'm using for these tacos is local caught redfish and flounder that I did catch earlier in the week. And if you want to see exactly how I do that, check out my main channel. It's called Low Country Fishing. You guys can see exactly how I like to catch my fish. Now all I'm doing here is I'm cutting the fish up into little pinky sized pieces, which is going to fit perfectly in these little small street sized taco shells. So once I get all the fish cut up, I'll set it to the side. Then I'll take my local caught shrimp that is peeled and deveined. I'll season it along with the fish with a little bit of that Cajun seasoning. Take that cornmeal mixture, toss it right on top, give everything one more final little hand toss, then just set that bowl to the side, and we're going to continue working on this 3-part dredge. Next, in a large mixing bowl, I'm going to take 10 eggs, give them a nice little whisk. Then I'm going to open up a bag of Japanese Panko breadcrumbs, toss that into the bowl, and that's going to be the 3-part dredge that I use for the seafood. So now all you want to do is take that cornmeal battered fish, dip it in the egg wash, then throw those Japanese Panko breadcrumbs on top. Now look how nice that is. Now the reason I like to use Japanese breadcrumbs over traditional plain breadcrumbs is because those Japanese breadcrumbs are a little thicker or bigger pieces, and it's just going to make for a more crunchy breading. So now I'm just continuing to work through all of the seafood, redfish, flounder, and shrimp. Now if you notice on the tray, I do have the skin still left on my flounder, but I did take the scales off. And the reason I do that is because as we're eating the dish, I want the guys to be able to taste the difference between the redfish, the flounder, and obviously what the shrimp looks like. Now one of the things that you do need to pay attention to as you're breading the seafood is to watch the breadcrumbs, and when they start to look a little mushy or soggy like this, you want to throw them out, put a brand new bag into the bowl, and then continue the process. Because if those breadcrumbs are soggy, it's not going to stick to the seafood, and it's not going to give you that crispy breading that you want. Outside, I have my little deep fryer set at 375 degrees full of peanut oil, and I'm just going to start dropping the seafood in roughly 10 or 12 pieces at a time. Now I don't like to overcrowd the fryer because I want everything to be able to swim around really well, and it also gives me the ability to really shake and agitate that basket to make sure that nothing's really sticking or clumping together. So once your seafood starts to look nice and brown about like this, you're good to go and it's cooked. Seafood only takes a couple minutes to cook as well, so you really don't need to focus so much on the amount of time that the seafood's in there. You really just need to go off of the color. Now one little thing that I like to do as the seafood comes out and it's still hot and a little bit moist from that grease is I do like to hit it with a little bit of seasoned salt. The seasoned salt that I use is Everglades Fish and Chicken, but really any seasoned salt is fine, or you can just use regular salt. But I do like to come on top with some sort of a spice just to make it taste better. Alright, so now that the fish is fried, let's start building these tacos out. So I take 3 little street size flour tortilla shells, and I'll take the fish and just throw a piece of fish right down on the very bottom of that flour tortilla shell. And you see now why I was cutting them into little thumb-sized pieces, because it just makes for the perfect little street taco bite. So on top of that fish, I like to take that crack sauce that I have put into a little squirt bottle just to make it a little easier to manage. Spoon on a nice little dollop of that pico de gallo, which is going to be fresh and crunchy and tasty. It's going to have the lime, the jalapeno. It is just absolutely delicious. And then you can't forget that homemade coleslaw that you made. So just put on a little bit on top here just to give it that nice little creamy, crunchy bite. Next, sprinkle on a little cilantro for color and taste. Then let the boys know it's time to eat. Walk this plate over to the table, and that's how you make fried shrimp and fish tacos for the boys at the fire station.